It Chapter 2 movie review. You can go home again. It Chapter 2 has officially arrived in theaters. It's the follow-up 2017's wildly successfully and acclaimed It adaptations. But does the sequel live up to those standards? Read on for our full review and then check out a look at the ending and spoiler review chat. Stephen King novels are notoriously tough to adapt, but it ranks up there among the most challenging, and unfortunately the modern movie adaptation does not make it look or feel any easier. From the start, director Andy Muschietti made the tricky and slightly controversial choice to divide the source material's dwelling, pace, and present timelines up into two movies. Chapter 1, which hit theaters back in 2017 and deal exclusively with the kids' plot of the book set in 1989. And this year's It Chapter 2, which deal with the adults' plot set 27 years later. The decisions paid off beautifully for Chapter 1, transforming the cerebral novel into a Goonies-flavored coming-of-age adventure with a cast of magnetic, scrappy, lovable kids who face off against a monster and learn all sorts of lessons about life, love, and friendship along the way. In Chapter 2, however, the cracks in the concept begin to show, and ultimately the final chapter fails to maintain the sparks of the first, succumbing to a dangerous cocktail of muddled timelines, poorly placed novel callbacks, and scattered focus. In Chapter 2 isn't a total loss. The adult cast, made up of James McAvoy, Jessica Chastain, Bill Hader, Isaiah Mustafa, James Ranson, Annie Bean, and Jay Ryan, all managed to embody unbelievable grown-up versions of the kids in Chapter 1. Their chemistry is electric, their humor is pitch perfect, and their ensemble scenes are far and away the strongest part of the movie. It's hard not to love The Losers Club, even all these years later. Unfortunately, their ensemble scenes are prepared relatively sparingly around long stretch of contrived side quests that force each loser to break out on their own to relive some of their repressed childhood memories. Said repressed memories usually come as a package deal with the flashbacks, and while it wasn't a bad idea to spend chunks and this movie with the kids of Chapter 1 again, the scenes start to feel redundant almost immediately. Each loser seems stuck in a feedback loop, forced to rehearse the same beats and learn the same lesson we already saw them learn the first time around. Bill still sad about losing his brothers. Eddie's still scared of infection and germs. Babe still grappling with the memory of her monstrous father. The exceptions to this rule is Richie Tozier, taken by Bill Hader, who is the only one of the losers to get an entirely new arc. His new story is arguably the most personal and interesting choice Chapter 2 has going to get for it. Bolstered astronomically by Hader giving one of the best, if not the best performance of the ensemble, but the best movie never actually commits to his spotlight. Instead, Richie frustratingly remains a side character playing second stringer to the endlessly repeated Chapter 1 comfort, food-like Ben's perpetual and one-sided infatuation with Babe. The strange talk of war between new and old ideas doesn't start or end there. Whole scenes chapter 2 are lifted directly from the source material with little or not thought given to how or where they fit into the dual movie's new dynamics. Entire subplots like the Henry Bowers storyline pick up and matter around they Peter or without payout. Meanwhile, some of the newer plots point like a totally reimagined ritual of chat, a magic ceremony used the novel but kept out of chapter 1. Differs themselves so completely from the source material and become so unrecognizable that it's honestly baffling that they managed to make it into the final cut at all. In terms of scares, Chapter 2 delivers about 60% of the time. Bill Skarsgård has returned to reprise the role of Pennywise the Clown, and he's just as uncanny and unsettling as he was the first time around. He even managed to stay menacing and threatening, scaring a bunch of 40 years olds as he did